Part 5. Point's monitor shimmered with nightmares. "Point, talk to me," Ears whispered. Point whispered back. "You getting this, Jiminy?" as he entered the operating theatre. According to hospital records, this was the last site occupied by the hostile organisms. Tracing the hive from the last known point of action was always the simplest route for Point, leaving Rat to trace the air ducts and ventilation systems, according to Lieutenant Richards' projections. Ears shuddered. Surgery held a special horror for him, but whatever had happened here went beyond the butchery Ears had endured at the military's orders. An operation had been in progress. It was apparent no one had entered since the attack. The footprints that splashed and spread the puddles of blood all bolted away from the body. The operating table was corrugated with acid burns, the tile floor puckered and burned through by its corrosive spatter. The patient's body, what was left of it, was strewn in gristle, pulped from the core of a moist cavern in the abdomen, ruptured from within. The distended torso bent impossibly, twisting the head away from view, its face buried in the wet pillow, as if to stifle a shriek. Against one wall, a surgeon was splayed, neck akimbo, eyes milky, his skull shattered from above. Point grunted. Despite the obscuring knot of clotted hair, the serrated edge breaking the flesh of the surgeon's forehead identified the wound, indicating the depth of the initial strike of the inner jaws. The kiss, the alien's distinctive bite. Point hunkered down to get a good look at what the surgeon held in his stiffened hand. Something ribbed, organic. A sac with coagulated rivulets of a flavescent ooze frozen between the surgeon's gloved fingers. "The walls, Point. What's on the walls?" Ears begged. The monitor wavered and then focused on the room's walls. 4 bodies hung there, but gravity had no pull on their extremities. "They were torn out of their cocoons and brought here," Point croaked. He studied the wizened, long-dead faces, mouths agape with unheard screams. Their breastbones split outwards. They were spent hosts. The 4th was obscured by still glistening resins and a dangling jungle of IV leading into her mouth. The liquid stilled in the IVs was yellow and cloudy, the colour of the tawny slime in the dead surgeon's grasp. Point looked down, and Ears followed the movement. The host was dead. The seed in its chest had been torn free, the corrosive burns that defined the wound indicating the nature of the attacker. "What were these doctors doing in here, Jiminy?" Point wheezed. "Take one more look around and move. There's enough here to show Richards. Maybe he'll know." "Affirmative. Don't let this get you down," Point said. Point was Ears' man, the only member of the squad who gave a damn about him. The others didn't trust him. He knew that. Ears was as close as military regulations allowed to a synthetic. He was a cyborg, a fusion of flesh and circuitry, designed as the optimum mobile communications unit. To the others, though, he was as close enough to the hated androids of military history horror tales. "Wish upon a star, Jiminy," Point whispered. "Dr. Kotlow, you talk of cooperation, but you remain evasive," Richards asserted. "You've responded to none of the military or corporate directives. Have you any adequate explanation for what was found in the Todd Lab waste disposal pod?" Kotlow folded his hands on his desk, unperturbed. "The result of a successful attempt to terminate the infestation. The remains were disposed of properly. A live drone and 64 newborn alien husks. We made our report to the corporation. Yes, after notice of the pod retrieval. You knew there was an infestation, but still failed to report it." Kotlow sat back, looking down at his own hands. You know the history of disastrous military intervention, Lieutenant. We did not want you people involved. Our own security force dealt with the problem." Richards leaned forward. "Doctor, you are under military and corporation-enforced quarantine and martial law. You did not quell the infestation. Your records do not add up. You were previously among the staff of Mate Lab XX, which also suffered an infestation requiring military intervention." "Yes, but my tenure was brief and ended long before the military intrusion," Kotlow reflected. "As I recall, your Marines ultimately destroyed the entire station, including the personnel and patients." The investigation revealed that Mate Lab authorities had deliberately kept the infestation secret from both corporate and military intelligence. Incomplete and altered hospital records indicate a careful monitoring of the proliferation and activity of the hostiles, with select hospital environments carefully prepared for alien occupancy. One transcript even hinted at possible use of select patients as hosts for alien progeny. Kotlow's voice came with an edge now. "Lieutenant Richards, I lost patients, staff, and associates in our attempt to deal with the problem here. All our records are in disarray, much to our own distress. There is no Machiavellian scheme here, no hidden agenda. Do your job, and we will get on with ours. We still have the patients who were not evacuated before your arrival, due to your stringent security measures, including an infant in our maternity ward who cannot be moved under any circumstances." "Are you a religious man, Doctor?" "Are you, Lieutenant?" Kotlow returned. "I've scrutinized your files. Your degrees in medicine are accompanied by honors in the higher philosophies. Your treaties indicate an almost passionate search for possibilities that terrestrial corporate-sanctioned religions seem incapable of providing. Since then, you've deliberately avoided any discussion or debate on issues other than cold medical science and practice. The question of religion becomes conspicuous by its very absence. Matters of faith no longer concern me. The musing of fantasists has no place in administrating an installation such as this," he replied, folding his hands as if to cup the whole of the Todd Lab facility. Kotlow rose, but Richard stepped between the desk and the door. "Why did you lock yourself into that pharmaceutical safe for a full day, hours after the organisms had made their presence felt in that area? An accident, nothing more." Richards stepped aside. "I have the tapes, and we shall see." Religious contraband was also found aboard Mate Lab XX, affiliated with an unsanctioned cult, reportedly deifying the hostile alien lifeforms. As an ex-theology student, what is your view on such a self-destructive religion? If you consider my incident in the safe as an act of cowardice, so be it. I am a civilian corporate executive, beyond the reach of military punishment for imagined transgressions. Good day. I'll be watching you, Doctor. And I shall be watching you, Lieutenant. Kotlow snapped up a file on his desk and curtly pushed past Richards.